We are delighted that all of you could join us. I see many alumni. I see past employees, past faculty, past staff, many of our well-wishers and strong supporters of the Institute who have played an important role in the growth of the Institute. And then, of course, our current faculty, staff, students, and stakeholders. I'm particularly delighted that Mr. Pankaj Patel could join us today, that he could take time off to spend the evening with us. We are very grateful to Mr. Pankaj Patel. So 10 years is not a long time in the life of an institute, but the first 10 years surely play a critical role in laying the foundation of the institute's culture. So completion of 10 years provides us with a great opportunity to retrospect and renew our energies in this mission to create a very unique and different IIT that we set out to. So first I request Professor Amit Prashant and Professor Jason Manjale to come to the stage. Professor Jason Manjale joined the Institute in 2008, has been our first career faculty member. He is a faculty member in Humanities and Social Sciences. Also the Dean of Student Affairs, and under his leadership, the Institute has developed this very unique student-centric culture. Professor Amit Prashant joined the Institute in 2010, and until very recently, he was the Dean of Academic Affairs. And under his leadership, the Institute has been able to develop many unique academic initiatives and also a very innovative curriculum. I now request Professor Jain to welcome the chief guest, Mr. Pankaj Patel, and accompany him to stage. Mr. Pankaj Patel is the chairman of Cadila Healthcare Limited, an innovation-driven global healthcare company with operations in more than 50 countries worldwide. The group has a team of nearly 23,000 people worldwide. With an experience spanning 40 years in the Indian pharmaceutical industry, Mr. Patel combines both research and techno-commercial expertise. Mr. Pankaj Patel is the immediate past president of the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, FICCI. He is a member of the Board of Management at the Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, IIFT. He has been nominated on the reconstituted court of the Indian Institute of Science for the period of 2018 to 2021. He has been nominated as a member of the Mission Steering Group, the highest policy-making and steering body constituted under National Health Mission. Recently, Mr. Patel was nominated as a member of the Drug Technical Advisory Board by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. He is a member of the Board of Governors of the Indian Institute of Management, IIM, Ahmedabad. He is also the chairman of the Board of Governors and Society at IIM Udaipur and IIT Bhubaneswar. Mr. Patel serves on the board of various educational institutes like Ahmedabad University, Narsi Monji Institute of Management Studies, Gujarat Law University, Gujarat Law Society, Nirma University, and Anant National University. Mr. Pankaj Patel is the executive chairman, vice president, and trustee of the Gujarat Cancer Society and chairman of the Gujarat Cancer and Research Institute, a regional cancer center and one of the largest cancer centers of India, reaching out to the needy and underprivileged cancer patients. Mr. Pankaj Patel also officiates as the chairman of the Deaf and Mute Society, Ahmedabad. I again request Professor Jain to welcome Mr. Patel with a token of appreciation. I now request Professor Jason Manjali to address the audience.
Dear friends, I am very excited to stand here and talk to you today on the occasion of the inauguration of the IITGN Decennial. It's quite an achievement that we have completed 10 successful years of our existence. It feels like we have completed a tedious and long journey, but at the same time, it feels like it's all happened in a flash. I vividly remember my first arrival to the VGC campus and meeting General Aga, the then officer on special duty, and Urjit, who is sitting here today, the Dean of Student and Academic Affairs. When I was talking to Urjit, he asked me, "What would you like to do?" I said, "I would like to engage with students and I would like to play basketball with them." He said, "Very well, but we don't have a basketball court." I said, "Let's build one." Then I told Darshan Patel, who is currently serving in the hostel office, "Let's go around the campus and find a place." Without making any big fuss about it, we quietly went and got some sand, metal, cement, and we patched a small space between a parking area and a road, and we built a half court. In fact, it was not a half court, it was a quarter court with a peculiar shape. Over the 10 years, IIT Gandhar has evolved and grown quite a bit. We have grown from barely 100 square feet to 100,000 square feet, more than 100,000 square feet. We have grown from 90 students to 1,500 students. We have grown into all possible directions. One thing that makes us unique, and one thing that makes us important, is that we built this institution on our own terms. We defied the common imagination. We overcome our own skepticism. We, at the same time, kept the skeptics, critics, well-wishers, and our enthusiasts close to us so that we don't lose our perspective. And we built an institution whose way of life is worthy of emulation. As Hari said, I happen to be the first career faculty of this institution. And I'm also the accidental career faculty of this institution, because I was appointed to IIT Gandhar when I was appearing for an interview for a faculty position in IIT Bombay. I was a bit unhappy about it. But I told myself, what the heck? We have this opportunity to create an institution better than IIT Bombay, for that matter, better than any IITs in this country. We have seen a lot of people around us who thought building IIT Gandhinagar, which is building IIT Gandhinagar qualitatively identical to the other IITs, is a pipe dream. We didn't confront those critics. We didn't challenge them. We quietly lived and built that dream. And we continue to live and build that dream because we have and had a lot of people who are determined to create that dream a success, and a lot of people who worked hard sitting here today made that dream possible. And how did we do it? We believed in ourselves. We didn't succumb to the temptation of creating an identity, creating IIT Gandhinagar in the image of an existing IIT, because we reimagined the very idea of an IIT. And in this occasion, I feel we should not get lost in our achievements and accomplishment. We should be very mindful of the challenges and opportunities ahead of us. We should be perceptive and open to new ideas and new initiatives. We cannot remain ourselves as an elitist enterprise. We should continue to strive to uphold the egalitarian, inclusive, and democratic values for a brighter and new IIT Gandhinagar. Long live IITGN. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. I now invite Professor Urjit Yajnik to say a few words. As Professor Jason mentioned, in the first year, he was leading this effort to build this institution from scratch. Professor Urjit Yajnik, as many of you may know, is a faculty member at IIT Bombay. Yes, sir, please.
Dear Sudhir, Director, Honorable Chief Guest, my colleagues at IIT Gandhinagar and the larger IIT Gandhinagar family, and the even larger family consisting of any alumni who may be there in the audience, and people like myself who are there associated from the beginning. The story of a birth is never the story of a birth. It is the birth for people who are involved with it. And I need not say more because there are so many mothers and fathers in the audience. And it was just an amazing experience. And however you put together the story and whatever reasonable framework in which you try to cast it, it eventually just looks a miracle. The story of every birth is a miracle. And so was IIT Gandhinagar. It is really nice to see that we have this wonderful function here. And I thank the organizer for the opportunity for me to share a few words on behalf of IIT Bombay, which was charged with setting up the institution in around mid-May of 2008, and then it got going by August 2008. So to keep things short, the one person we have to thank the most, one entity, is the government of Gujarat, which had so much enthusiasm about bringing an IIT on its doorstep. And let me tell you, from all the stories we heard, no other IIT got the kind of reception, welcome, and full-fledged support that IIT Gandhinagar got from its host government. The second thing was the campus which we were offered, which was the Vishwakarma Government College campus, and Principal Mr. M.R. Patel is here. And it was such a pleasure working with him, because just to say one thing, there are so many things, but just to say one thing, when we arrived and asked him where will be the office, he said, "Take my office, I am moving from here." Okay? We took his conference hall as office instead, but that is how it got going. And I should say a little bit, because I wear both the hats, I had now become IIT Gandhinagar entity, so I had to look back to the mentoring institution, IIT Bombay. And IIT Bombay had a change of directors, and there was acting director and then another permanent director, Professor Ashok Mishra, Professor Vasi, and then Professor Devang Khakkar. Each of them gave it full support. There was a blank check for me to operate on. Anything that was needed, I could just do. There was a finance officer, Mr. Verma, and he just kept me on track. I had to just consult him, but there was nothing, I didn't have to worry about any, he would whitewash everything in the end. And if I encountered any glitches, any problems, there was in the end just one very simple solution. That is to drink coffee by going to Professor Patel's office. I just had to walk in and sit down in the sofa. And he will say, so what is it today, Yagnik Sahib? And he will get going. And then within no time the problems would be solved. So it was just a pleasure getting it going. If I really delve into the memories, there will be too many of them. So I will just end with one last little vignette, which is that most of the other IITs started off in their parent IIT's campus, like Kanpur started, Jaipur, and so on. So they all started in their own campus, or Kharagpur, because they had something already in Bhubaneswar they started. But this was the only IIT that directly started in its own remote campus in the state right away. And the reason for that was that I was ready to march off on 1 week notice, effectively in the end. And that is because my spouse was here. Renu was already stationed here. Gujarat is the state from which our family hails, so the language was natural to me. And it was just a sense of commitment and giving back that I felt honored to come back and start off this institute. So thank you all very much for listening to me and giving me the opportunity.
Thank you, Professor Yajnik. So in the next portion of this program, we feature 2 videos. The first video is made by 2 of our alumni, paying homage to the temporary campus that Professor Yajnik just mentioned, housed in the premises of Vishwakarma Government Engineering College campus. This is called Visat Se Right, which is inspired by a poem by one of the alumnus, Ankit Pandole.
Dedicated to all of you, to the whole IITGN community, and to our home away from home.
अपने अपने घरों से दूर एक घर बसता है विसत से राइट, सपनों और उम्मीदों का एक जहां बसता है विसत से राइट। जब पहली बार आए थे ऑटो वाले से कहा था विसत से राइट, आज जब वापस जा रहे हैं तब भी कहना है विसत से राइट। फर्स्ट ईयर में जाते थे अमल्थिया ब्लिथक्रॉन की मार्केटिंग के लिए और वापस लौटते समय कहते थे भैया बस विसत से राइट। आज अपनी अपनी बाइक्स पे सवार दूर तक घूम आते हैं, पर वापस आते ही लेना तो पड़ता है ना विसत से राइट। बहुत खुश हुए थे जब BRTS खुला था, पर उससे उतरकर पैदल भी आते ही थे विसत से राइट। वेकेशन से जब वापस आते थे कॉलेज, धड़कनें बढ़ जाती थी जब आता था विसत से राइट। दिल की उन गलियों में जो 2 राहें पड़ते थे, उन 2 राहों में एक रास्ता है विसत से राइट। लाइफ में अब तक डिसीजंस जितने भी लिए, लाइफ में अब तक डिसीजंस जितने भी लिए, उन सब में सबसे राइट था विसत से राइट। यहाँ से भले ही चले जाएंगे एक दिन, पर यादों की मंजिल रहेगी हमेशा विसत से राइट। लोगों के लिए वो सिर्फ एक आम रास्ता है, लोगों के लिए वो सिर्फ एक आम रास्ता है, पर हमारे लिए खुशियों का टर्न है विजन से राइट।
I'm sure that must have stirred up some old memories in many of you. The next video is a video made by a couple of our current students, highlighting life on campus as of today. In the next portion of the program, we feature people who have been close partners in the journey of the last 10 years. We will hear their stories. I first invite Mr. Yash Pratap Singh, a BTech Mechanical Engineering graduate of IIT Gandhinagar. He graduated in 2016 with the Director's Gold Medal and is currently with HDFC Bank in the digital innovation space for the past 2 years.
So, hi everyone, and good to be back on campus. I visited last July, and I feel that I am someone who is very aware of IIT Gandhinagar. So I almost crunch in all information that is available on social media, whatever publications that IIT has. But despite that, whenever I end up on the campus, I'm surprised. This time it's the landscaping, the greenery all around, the buildings, the fine tuning. So this place keeps on surprising me, despite I have spent 1 year in 2015, 2016 on this campus. When I was seeing these videos, I saw the lives of both the campuses. I joined this institute in 2012 and graduated in 2016. So I spent 3 years at the old campus and 1 year at the new campus. And since it is an event of recollection of looking back at our journey for 10 years, what I feel that one thing which we were lucky, or I don't know, we were blessed to have, is that we had a very comfortable setting. So even if I look at our old campus, we were very comfortable. In fact, the nostalgia in Visat se right, you could feel it from the video, because the auditoriums, the sheds, they were so personal. People used to spend all nights there working on events and everything. So I think we had a very comfortable setting. In fact, the skepticism to join a new IIT at that time, once you landed up here, a beautiful foundation program, beautiful campus, very comfortable. You can walk along and you need not travel on buses for long 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers, which some other young IITs had to. So we had a very comfortable journey in that sense, and then we had a beautiful campus. I can comfortably say I've visited few other IIT campuses. I've been to foreign universities for my interns. I don't think we have, I think this is the best campus that I feel, something really amazing about it. Some good things about IIT Gandhinagar that if I look back, particularly how it helped me in what I am today, is one thing is the flexibility in the curriculum, the freedom, the autonomy that the student has. I think when you enter this institute, you are 17, 18, 19, that's that age group. I think you are not old enough to decide what you want to pursue. And perhaps most of the branch allocation happens through your JE ranks. And in that perspective, IIT Gandhinagar gives you a complete freedom. You design your own academic journey at this place. I joined as a BTech in chemical engineering. I went to mechanical engineering after year 1 based on my CGPA. But I ended up doing 16 courses in humanities and social sciences. That's a very high number. If you see, it's about 2 courses per semester, ranging from anthropology, literature, history, something that I really felt interested to study, and the institute allowed me to study. In fact, really motivated me to take up this. In terms of the opportunities, I was sent to Europe working with Microsoft. We had a partner collaboration with the university, and I was working on that time on Cortana AI. I was working on visual speech recognition. These were some of the really, buzzword projects at that time. By the way, Kinect is out of circulation now, but I got to work on such interesting problems in third year. So in terms of the opportunities, that really groomed me onto how I take up a corporate career ahead. And in fact, if I look, did a minor in humanities, completed so many courses, did a lot of leadership, other things, did an internship with Microsoft, ended up in a bank where I'm working on digital innovations, I'm working on machine learning, augmented reality, some really challenging moonshot projects within the banking space, which is changing because of the fintech. So this institute precisely gives you the freedom, and that's a very big thing for a BTech student. I think few things, if you look back also, like I was just thinking about it while I was coming from Mumbai, which course do I really value if the academic course that I studied at IIT? And I was telling this to Professor Jain as well, that ES 201, I remember the course code, it's Introduction to Design and Innovation. That's a compulsory course you have to do in third semester, a course which really adds value to my profile right now, because I know how design thinking works, I know how to design stuff, I know what empathy in design means, some things which perhaps big institutions hire consultants for to really consult them on ergonomics, on design, something I learned on the campus. So that's the kind of exposure you get at this place, that's the kind of freedom you get at this place, and that really makes a different individual. We understand that out of the 23 IITs, we will be very different in terms of the graduates that we are producing, because, the kind of freedom and everything, sometimes, people will end up with a majors in almost a different discipline altogether. That's it. I think looking back 10 years, it has been an amazing journey. Institute has scaled up beautifully. So many philanthropic funds have come up. So much centers of excellence have come up. Research park is coming up. So many exciting developments. And I think the next 10 years would be exciting. And I hope to contribute as an alumnus and hope to engage more with the institute. I think. Thank you.
Thank you, Yash, for sharing your story. I next invite Professor Dheeraj Sanghi, a professor of computer science and engineering at IIT Kanpur. His thoughts on education are widely followed through his blog. He has been a close associate in IIT Gandhinagar's journey and has been associated with IIT Gandhinagar for many years. He is currently a guest professor and he has visited us more than 50 times.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to be here. The first time I visited IIT Gandhinagar was, I think, just a week after Professor Jain had taken over as director. I was in Jaipur at that time. In fact, he had come to Jaipur before coming to Ahmedabad and said, just why don't you come along with me? So I said, no, let's, at least you go and find out a hostel room where I can stay for a day. So we said, okay, we'll come after a week. When I was thinking about what should I say here, Amit told me that, why do you come here? So this is my 59th visit to Ahmedabad since that June of 2009, right? So why have I come 59 times? I see this campus as a campus which is very vibrant, very active, very innovative, and every time I come here, I learn something. Also, I feel that sometimes the ideas that I may give are taken seriously, whether they're implemented or not. Sometimes, obviously, I don't expect everything I will say will be implemented, but they're taken seriously. There are a lot of people who are very innovative here that I have interacted with in faculty as well as students. People like Amit, Jason, Harish, and many others. I mean, pretty much everybody in the faculty that I've talked to comes up with so many ideas that I learn a lot every time I come here. Okay. Even interacting with students, Yash, I've met a couple of times. Akash was somewhere here. Every time I talk to people like them, it's been great. One of the things that, I think I could say I have small influence was in the beginning when I would talk to Professor Jain about how do we build rules. And I said, there is one mistake that IIT Kanpur has done, and you shouldn't do that mistake. And that mistake was that we had very rigid rules. And we could live with those rigid rules because nobody cared about those rules. When I was a student at IIT Kanpur, I could do anything under the sun, irrespective of what the rules were. Right? Anything I wanted to do, I'll give an application, SUGC or whatever those committees were, they'll say, yeah, this looks all right, allowed. Right? However, when we became big, when we have 6,000 students, We no longer can look at every application of every student and say, let's allow this because this is the right thing to do. So therefore, slowly, rigidity started settling in because those rules have to be followed because you can't do things on a day-to-day, on a case-to-case basis. So I always, every committee that I will be member of here, I'll say, look, the rules have to inbuild flexibility. Students should be able to do pretty much anything under the sun. Other than, breaking things, they can do anything. So I think that's one thing that I can kind of take pride in, that, that's some influence that I have had here. I write blogs about education. About 3 years ago, I wrote a blog in which I said, if I am JEE number 1 today, and if I have to take an engineering admission, I will take it at IIT Gandhinagar. I don't think people believed me, right? So many people said, no, this is not correct. He's just saying it because, he goes there so often, he has friends there, director is a friend there. But I can tell you, I'm serious, even today, I'm very serious in saying that, and I always suggest to people that you should go and study where you can do anything under the sun. Jason had talked about growth, how the institute has changed over the last 10 years. And in my 59 visits, I don't think institute has changed. It remains as innovative, it remains as student-centric, it remains as creative, and it remains a place which is happening place where every time it is fun to come back to. There are too many things to talk about, but I think that will take a long time. As a professor, we are used to 15-minute talks, but if I start speaking, I have a very long list of things to say, but maybe some other time, maybe during the dinner time or something. Finally, thank you very much for inviting me here. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Sanghi, for sharing your thoughts. I next invite Mr. Harsh Bhargava to share his experiences. Mr. Bhargava is an MBA from Harvard Business School and is currently the president of Bank World Inc., a prominent Washington, D.C.-based management consulting company with experience in over 75 countries, including projects on competitive strengthening in emerging markets, entrepreneurship, and youth. Mr. Bhargava is the director, pro bono, and chief mentor of the Competitiveness Mindset Initiative, CMI program under the aegis of IITGN. He is also the founder and president of iCreate Inc., a non-profit corporation dedicated to creating job creators instead of job seekers.
Thank you, Harish. Namaskar, friends, and especially my young friends over there. My journey of discovering IIT Gandhinagar started 5 years ago when I accidentally met Dr. Sudhir Jain at a board meeting. And I think, honestly, it was probably one of the best things that happened to me in India. I was immediately impressed by two things. His passionate commitment to IIT to make it a world-class institute, and very importantly, to my mind, his approach, which is felt among the faculty here, of empowering the students. What touched me, my heart, was a statement that he did not want IIT Gandhinagar to be an island of prosperity in an ocean of poverty. He wanted the local community to grow with IIT. To this end, the institute started two wonderful programs which students all know about it, but many of you may not know. One is NYASA. It's a project by the students of IIT Gandhinagar. They personally educate the children of the migrant construction workers in and around campus. They also provide them, these poor children, with midday meal, uniforms, and books. The other project is called NEEV. This is where our relationship, my relationship with your wonderful institute started. We have a grassroots entrepreneurship program called I Create that my wife Aruna and I started 19 years back. Through the joint efforts of NEEV, in partnership with I Create, hundreds of local villagers in Palaj have been provided entrepreneurship training and support to start their own business. This way, IIT is creating prosperity in the villages and creating employment for local women and youth who otherwise would be jobless. In fact, some of the shops that you have are created by these entrepreneurs that were developed by NEEV. Next, I would like to allow me to embarrass Sudhir a little bit here, but I would like to talk about Sudhir's broad approach to education and his vision. For example, 4 years back when I mentioned to him the need to study and assess the competitiveness mindset in India, Sudhir promptly said, let's start immediately. Very soon, Competitiveness Mindset Initiative, CMI, was created with experts from US and students and faculty of IIT Gandhinagar working together. And some of the students are here. Akash is here, Rushali, Saksham, Shivang, Vasu, Prerna is in Georgia. But primarily those students created this buzz for competitiveness in IIT Gandhinagar, which we collaborate with in the US. Why this study? The need for this study to assess competitiveness mindsets was triggered by a major research which showed that while India was making great economic strides, it had the lowest per capita export in the BRICS countries. It was further discovered that if India could increase its per capita export by 50% of the next lowest, which is Brazil, it would create 30 million well-paying jobs. So competitiveness becomes a very important part of that. So under the aegis of your institution, IIT Gandhinagar, a first ever nationwide study was done for over a period of a year. The study attracted support of many, including a very famous professor, Jen Revkin of Harvard Business School, who along with Mike Porter are considered the doyen in competitiveness. So after we had done the study and found out what are the attributes that we lack or we have to work on, we also found out in our follow-up study that the best place to start to change these attributes, to make our young people more competitive in their mindset, we have to start with education at Educational Institute. Once again, your director, Dr. Jain, enthusiastically responded, hey, let's start it right now and let's start it at IIT Gandhinagar. And friends, as a result, tomorrow, we're starting a 2-day course for 150 IIT students. Many of you have enrolled. Congratulations for doing that. This course is called Finding the Leader in You or Fly. I could go on, but the time is limited. So finally, I want to talk about an unusual ecosystem that has been created in IIT Gandhinagar that empowers the young mind on the campus. The students are not only taught by a very capable young faculty that has been put together in such short time at this institute, and to me, very importantly, they have made themselves accessible to the students. You might ask, how do I know that? For the last 4 years, I've been holding teleconferences meetings with the CMI student team at IIT Gandhinagar on a monthly basis, as well as meetings on campus every year that I come to. And I'm so very impressed by the confidence and responsibility the students have taken to run this massive project. In fact, we have 6 experts that have come from US for that project, which was really carried on by your student mates. In my years of iCreate work in India, I have visited literally hundreds of universities and colleges, and I have honestly not found students empowered with access to faculty, the director, as in IIT Gandhinagar. To me, this is the greatest strength of an academic education, academic institution. So, IIT Gandhinagar, Dr. Jain, the faculty, and most importantly, the students, you have very much to celebrate and be proud of on this 10th anniversary of your great institution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bhargava, for sharing. I now call upon Professor Michel Danino to share his perspectives with us. Professor Michel Danino has been a scholar of ancient India and has been studying both historical and archaeological aspects of it. He has been living in India for the past 41 years and has taught extensively on these subjects. He has been awarded the Padma Shri for his contributions to literature and education, and he has been associated with IIT Gandhinagar for the past several years in various capacities, and is currently a full-time visiting faculty.
Thank you, Harish. It's a great pleasure to be here this evening. Jason, I believe you said you were an accidental faculty here. Well, I claim to be far more accidental than you are. And I really came here by accident. In fact, I came into academics by accident. I never planned to, I never had an ambition to be in academics. I never thought about it. It's something which happened in the course of time, being invited here or there and having some limited teaching in one or two institutions, including one of the junior Indian Institutes of Management. But it so happened that sometime in August 2011, so almost 7 years to the day, I landed here to give a talk, and had been partially the invitation of Amit. I think he had a role to play in this. And well, as many invitees, I landed at the office of Professor Sudhir Jain, and then a whole discussion started, and I was beginning to feel like, you know, the proverbial donkey who's being pulled and digs in his heels for no valid reason. But I was not very sure whether I was ready to associate myself or participate or contribute to such an institution. However, there was a key moment which in a way summarizes much of the spirit of IIT Gandhinagar, when at some point he asked me, can you tell me, we are going to produce good engineers by default in IIT Gandhinagar. Can you tell me, what can we do for some of the endangered disciplines which an institute like this could help support? And then came to my mind the discipline of archaeology, and that is a whole story which unfolded later on with the creation of an Archaeological Sciences Center here, quite a unique institution in India. There is no other in the country to my knowledge. And well, finally, I visited initially as a guest professor, a couple of weeks here or there. I started giving some short courses, or rather half-sem courses, and gradually extended my stays. And organically, things grew, and this Archaeological Sciences Center grew reasonably well. And finally, this year I decided to let go of all my inhibitions and join the Institute on a more permanent basis. What exactly made me extend this contribution to the maximum I could? I think if I'm to summarize in one single word what I have found here to be different, because I've visited a number of IITs, quite a few universities in India. In one word, I would say ambience. There's something special about the ambience of this place. And I would not try to define it too much. Some of you would have felt it in one way or the other. Certainly that ambience was initially created by the vision that this institute had to be something different, not try to replicate, not try to emulate, not try to rival with especially the older IITs. But you know, ambience is also something delicate. It can come and go, it can easily vanish. So it has not vanished. It has actually deepened itself, and this is something that is created, or sustained rather, by everybody here. By the students, of course, by the faculty, and I've met many remarkable people among the faculty members, also among the students, first of all, I should say. By the staff, I've met a lot of remarkable staff. I'm always amazed at the quality of our staff. And in a word, everybody contributes to that ambience. So I will not try to define it, I will leave it at that, but this is what ultimately pulled me here and convinced me that this is a place I would love to work in and contribute to. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Danio. I next invite Mr. Shobhit Tayal to the stage. Mr. Tayal is an architect and urban planner who co-founded Design and Planning Council, DPC, Ahmedabad. DPC is a consultancy and research firm providing integrated services across the sectors of urban planning, public space design, and architecture, and is involved with projects across India. Shobhit has been working with IITGN as owner's architect right from the inception. From advising on selection process, agreements, program development to review of designs, drawings, construction quality, he has guided IITGN on every aspect of campus design and development process.
Good evening, everybody. Being an architect and a planner, I'm more comfortable with showing visuals. Harish told me no presentations. So I've written down something and I'll share the stories briefly. Now, as owner's consultant, I'm going to share my views on why IIT Gandhinagar campus is one of the finest examples across recently developed public institutions of higher education in India. But before I move further, as an architect planner, I would admit that consultants, especially architects, are one of the most difficult animals to deal with. And IIT Gandhinagar has been successfully doing that. A lot of time, consultants will tell you things which you already know and still charge for it. A lot of times, consultants will tell you things which they actually don't know and still charge for it. And I'm sure a lot of friends from government departments and the business community would relate to that when they deal with consultants. Now the issue is, if you question why IIT Gandhinagar campus is one of the finest examples, is it because we are one of the first campuses in India to achieve the 5-star GRIA rating? Is it because we have won number of design awards, and I'm not giving the list? Is it because our dining hall building is has one of the largest passive downdraft system, which reduces the energy requirement? Not because our buildings are disabled friendly and we are continuously improving them? Or is it because we have demonstrated largest confined masonry construction in India? Or is it because we have developed this campus efficiently and fast? I would say it is not because of these reasons it is one of the finest examples. It is finest example because, one, we have involved faculty and students and staff in the design and development process, which is a very difficult thing to do. Because IIT Gandhinagar, when we work with the consultants, we define problems and not give solutions. That's another difficult thing to do when you're working with consultants. And it is one of the finest examples because we are documenting our mistakes. It's not that everything is good about what we are doing. There are a lot of shortfalls, a lot of mistakes, but we are documenting them and trying to continuously improve upon them. Now, what happens when we involve faculty, staff, and students in the design development process? One thing that is important and that happens is that everybody takes ownership of the development. They're owning good things and the bad things both. The second thing about participatory approach of involving faculty, student is that there's a lot of capacity building that happens. Consultants, people will leave after 10 years, 15 years, but the campus is going to stay. So there is a need of capacity building, so that's also happening. But something interesting also happens that when we involve faculty and staff, especially students in the design development process, sometimes they start acting as designers. And they start telling the designers and engineers what is a good design. I remember an incident where a student was trying to tell a very senior architect how to design. And we'll have to just pull them back that please tell the solutions, don't talk about, please tell the problems, don't talk about the solutions. And because of this reason, that we don't want to become designers when we're talking with consultants, another habit that we have been trying to inculcate is that we define problems and not give solution. And let me give you another example on this. Imagine a situation where a structural consultant is trying to tell Dr. Sudhir Jain, who's sitting in the meeting, saying this is how structural design has to be done, and this is the code. Without realizing, and imagine a situation when Dr. Jain is finding it difficult to convince that, see, I was one of the person who drafted the code. So it's an interesting process. So another thing that has happened interestingly is that when we sit in the meetings, we do not wear hats of the experts. A faculty would sit as a client and not as a civil engineer who is also a client. So that's a very big difference. It's very difficult to do that. When you're sitting on this side and when you have a power of taking decisions, you start bringing your ideas into board and tell the consultant what to do. That's something which we have been trying. The selection process of consultants has also been very vigorous and time-consuming, to the extent that we have even interviewed sub-consultants of architects, the structural engineers, the service consultants. And that is, not everybody does that, but we have been involved in those processes. No work is foolproof. There are a lot of mistakes and shortfalls we have faced. As I said, that we are documenting our mistakes in design, construction, drafting agreements, and continuously improving and learning. The questions are how many institutes are ready to admit their shortfalls? To cite you an example, post-construction, we invited an expert agency to conduct audit on disabled friendliness of the campus. All the architects did design ramps, everything, but we still involved an agency. And this lady who herself was on the wheelchair, she actually said that there are still shortfalls. And again, we are still improving those things. To conclude, I would like to say that the role of built environment is to facilitate the idea of learning and reflect the culture and pedagogy of the institution. Why I rate IIT Gandhinagar campus as one of the finest examples is not just because of its built environment. It is because of its staff, faculty, and leadership. It is the involvement of the people who make an institution great and not the buildings. Thank you.
Thank you, Shobit, for sharing your experiences with us. I now invite Professor Jain, Director of IIT Gandhinagar, to address the audience.
Shri Pankaj Patel, our chief guest today, esteemed guests, colleagues, students. I'm very delighted here to see all of you to mark the inaugural day of our year-long retrospection of our journey so far, and how do we plan to move forward. We have planned numerous activities in the year ahead, workshops, seminars, discussions, and see where we are, where we wish to go. I'm particularly thankful, Pankaj Bhai, for you to be here with us today. We started with a premise, and the premise was that if a new institution is going to be created with public money, taxpayers' money, in 21st century, it has to learn and benefit from what the previous set of institutions did in 50s and 60s. And we must build on that experience. And we must try to build an institution which is one generation ahead, which is much better. That was the aspiration. We set for ourselves certain values. We set for us the students come first. We are here for the students. Students are not here for us. And therefore, every decision we take, everything we do, we must keep students in the center. We must figure out what is right for them. We said we don't want to be a teaching school alone. We have to be a top quality research institution whose research is not esoteric only, but it is going to make a difference, which will pay back for the taxpayers' money, which will make a difference to our society, to our country. And the third premise was that we would be very engaged and concerned about the societal issues. Not only we will do the right things, not only we will engage with the underprivileged sections, but we will try to see that our students become sensitive to those issues. In order to achieve these three major objectives, we needed to innovate a lot. We started in 2008. There was a certain assumption, there was a certain expectation that these are the second generation IITs. They will take 20 years, 40 years to come up to the same level as the first generation IITs. It was assumed that if you don't get admission in the first generation IIT, then you go to IIT Gandhinagar. If you don't get a faculty job in the first generation IIT, then you take a faculty job in IIT Gandhinagar. These are the roadblocks that we had, and we needed to innovate. We needed to challenge the conventional wisdom. Quite often we were told that what you are embarking to do will not work and you will burn your fingers, and we still went ahead and did that. Our biggest challenge in 2008, 2009 was how do we create a pool of outstanding faculty? And we said if we were to follow the conventional methods of faculty recruitment, it will give us only the conventional results, which is not going to be suitable to us. We changed the faculty recruitment process. We were told that this is suicidal. How can you do that? How would somebody want to join a second generation IIT on a temporary job if he has an offer for a regular permanent job in another institution? And we said that is exactly the type of courageous people we want to collect here, who would not mind doing that, who would not mind joining a good institution for good ethos and would not care. We are looking for faculty who would say, can IIT Gandhinagar keep me here? Who would not be scared of job security. We changed the recruitment process and we have had fantastic results. How do we manage faculty? We had to change that. We had to bring interdisciplinarity. We had to say that we will share the laboratories. Some of you saw the video. We were working in a rented premises to begin with. We built some shades. We tried to create laboratories there. And there was no luxury for us to give every faculty member a separate independent laboratory. And we said, let's use that as a virtue. And let's create shared laboratories. Let's create interdisciplinary laboratories. Let's create a system where an electrical engineer will work with a material scientist. A chemical engineer will work with a chemistry colleague. We needed to innovate on curriculum. The standard IIT system curriculum would not do for IIT Gandhinagar. We started with a 5-week foundation program. We said for 5 weeks we will not teach classes. And my colleagues in other IIT systems said, oh my God, if you don't teach 5 weeks, what will happen to them? We said we are teaching them for 4 years. Let us teach them some good things for 5 weeks. Physics can wait. Mechanical engineering can wait. We decided that we would make our students not only good engineers, but we'll try to make them good human beings. For that, we will have to teach them a lot of humanities. We will have to teach them a lot of social sciences, teach them about the society. We have skepticism all around, inside included. Some of my own colleagues would come to me, and fortunately, I'm very fortunate that my colleagues are very blunt. They will come and directly talk to me. And I remember some of them coming to me and saying, Professor Jain, we are teaching less number of courses of electrical engineering or mechanical engineering. How will our students compete in the market. And I said, they can learn electrical engineering anytime. But they will never learn humanities and social sciences if I don't teach them. And that has paid us extremely rich dividends. We said we will deal with our students, student affairs in a different manner. And some of the earlier speakers mentioned about that. We said we will treat our students as adults, give them all the autonomy, hold them accountable for their actions at the end of it. And in that respect, I'm very grateful to the faculty team that had a faith in that philosophy. And our students, again, have proved themselves to be worthy of that trust. We needed to create extracurricular opportunities for our students to grow. Not just the foundation program. Some 3 or 4 years back, we created the Explorer Fellowship, where our students explore the length and breadth of India on extremely low budget in the summer months, where they are not allowed to travel by train, air-conditioned train. They are not allowed to travel by aircraft. They must live like ordinary Indians on a very, very low budget and understand what is India. Those are the kind of things that we needed to do. We needed to work on a different paradigm of dealing with staff. If we are going to say that we are a socially conscious institution, how do you treat the housekeeping staff that is outsourced? How do you treat the security staff that is outsourced? How can you reduce the gap that exists on the privileges and the benefits that a outsourced staff gets versus so-called regular employees? We had to do a lot of innovation there, and we needed to change things. We said if you want to be the Takshila and the Nalanda of 21st century India, where the world will look at this institution with respect, we are too small to do that. We will need the engagement and the support of everybody who is interested in creating a Takshila and Nalanda in India. In other words, we must be very inclusive, which means that anybody who has something to contribute is most welcome. And you heard Harsh Bhargav today, sitting in New Jersey, his heart beats for IIT Gandhinagar. And this is the kind of people that we said we needed to come here, get involved with us in whatever format they can and contribute. Not only contribution, we said if there is anybody who can benefit from IIT Gandhinagar, we must be having our doors open. People get surprised. IIT Gandhinagar might be the only institution in the country which perhaps would say, you may be anybody, you can come and register for a course at IIT Gandhinagar. Anybody can register for any course at IIT Gandhinagar by paying a small nominal fees. We call them non-degree student. Come and learn anything. Every year, we receive very large number of students from across the country to come and do summer research, undergraduates. Our challenge is that we are a publicly funded institution. We have colleagues who are on the rolls of IIT Gandhinagar. We have students who are on the rolls of IIT Gandhinagar. It does not mean that IIT Gandhinagar belongs only to them. IIT Gandhinagar belongs to nobody, and IIT Gandhinagar belongs to everybody. Those are the kind of innovations that we needed to do. We needed to build a huge network of well-wishers who will, in a sustainable manner, contribute to the institute. You heard Dheeraj Sanghi, who said this is his 59th visit to IIT Gandhinagar. As a professor of IIT Kanpur, he would write on a blog saying that if he is a JEE 1 ranker today, he would go to IIT Gandhinagar. On a smallest possible situation, we could count on Dheeraj's support. We had to recruit and seek help from numerous well-wishers, not only those who can give us donations and money, but also those who can help us in academic discussions. The last 10 years have been very, very satisfying years for all of us. We have built great faculty. If somebody were to look at last 50 or last 75 faculty members that IIT Gandhinagar has recruited, look at their credentials. And look at the last 50 or last 75 faculty members that have been recruited by any other institution and their credentials. My feeling is that we will come out winner. We have been able to recruit some exceptional faculty. We have been able to create a great student culture where students are part of the solutions, where students sit with us, discuss with us what is the issue, and we tell them we have this problem and you have got to solve it. We might be the only institution where between 1,600 students, we just have 2 wardens. And my feeling is that those 2 wardens, perhaps if you talk to them privately, they will say, pretty much everything goes on autonomous mode. We only have to worry about when we have to maybe buy some new furniture because of increase in student strength. Because we have autonomous student body which acts in a very, very responsible manner. We have fantastic staff that is engaged. Numerous visitors will come to us and will say what positive response they get from our staff. We have raised substantial philanthropic money. In fact, there have been times when the philanthropic money IIT Gandhinagar has raised is more than many of the older IITs. When I came here in 2009, I said if we are to create a world-class university, we would be funded by the public money. We will be funded by the government money, the taxpayers' money, for paying our bills, the electricity, the salary. But philanthropy will pay for the excellence. And that is exactly what is happening today. The next 25 years are going to be challenging. There have been times when I have addressed the students and I have said, not only you must learn how to handle your failures, but you must also learn how to handle your success. Not many people know how to handle their success. And I think the challenge for my student body, for my alumni body, for my colleagues on the faculty and staff will be, it's great to celebrate 10 years. It's great to be happy about the wonderful campus that we have built. It is great to take pride in the faculty that we have recruited. But are we capable of handling our success for next 25 years? That will be the question that we will have to struggle with. Have we built the culture? Or all of this that we have heard, Shobit said, that we have built this campus where students and faculty and staff have given inputs on how to design the campus. They have said, what do we want in the campus? I remember one of the first early master plan design where the design looked absolutely promising. And the students came and said, looks like the distance between the hostel and the academic area is hardly 20 meters, 30 meters. We don't want to live near the academic buildings. We want to be away. The students, the undergraduates, they said, when we are in the academic area, we want to think academics. When we are in the hostel area, we not want to think about academics. Allow us to stay away. And we had to tell our master plan consultant, please, redo it. It's very well to say that this is what we did, but the question is, will we continue to do that for the next 25 years? It is very well to say today that my young assistant professors, they recruit the faculty, they recruit even the associate professors and the full professors. The question is, will 20 years down the line, we will have the courage to have that much faith in the young assistant professors that we have today? The question is, will we keep the spirit of innovation and inclusivity as we grow? When we were 100 students, 200 students, people said, yeah, you can do it because you're a small school. As you will grow, you will not be able to do it. We started with 90 students admission. They said, yeah, your batch is very small, 90 students, 100 students. You can do a foundation program. Today we have 194 students. We are still doing foundation program, even better, because we are learning from that. But the question is, when we will with 1,000 students admission in BTech program, will we be able to do the foundation program as well? Will we be as flexible, what Dheeraj said? Will our students feel as empowered when we are 10,000 student campus? Will our alumni be engaged? As I fondly say, that today, if we have raised more than 40 crore rupees worth of donations over the years, 99.5% of those donations have come from non-alumni. And the reason they have contributed to IIT Gandhinagar is not because they owe anything to us, because they have faith in IIT Gandhinagar, because they are excited about what is happening in IIT Gandhinagar. Will my alumni step into those shoes? Will my alumni 20 years down the line, when they start to do well, when they will say, wow, IIT Gandhinagar is doing well, can we step in? Will we be known for making a difference through our alumni, through our contributions to the society, through our research? Will we be known nationally and internationally? As Dheeraj said, if you are ranker 1, he will join IIT Gandhinagar. I must say today, I honestly believe that we give the best undergraduate education in the country. Absolutely no question about that. Yet, the society doesn't understand it. A young kid, 16 years or 17 years, he looks at the JEE brochure and he says, wow, okay, which is the IIT that is most sought after? He fills up that. IIT Gandhinagar comes way below. We can't remain like this forever. We need this order to change. We want everybody to know IIT Gandhinagar is number 1. Will we be able to reach that? Personally, to me, I've been here more than 9 years, and this has been the most satisfying period of my professional life. I cannot ever wish anything better could have happened to me. The love and affection, the support that I received from all our stakeholders, whether this is our students, that is our faculty and staff, that is our well-wishers, has been absolutely amazing. The support that the government has provided us, the central government, the state government, the government officers, has been amazing. Many times I make a presentation in India, in US, in Europe, and quite often a question will come, especially from Indians living abroad, is, how are you able to do all this? Does government allow you all that? And my always answer is, government has never come in the way of anything that we ever wanted. Every time somebody asks me, Professor Jain, what is your biggest challenge in IIT Gandhinagar? And my answer has always been the same. My biggest challenge has been the aspiration deficit that my internal and external stakeholders have. The fact that my colleagues inside the institute, the fact that my students inside the institute, the fact that my well-wishers out the institute, they still look at me and say, can he do it? Can they do it? Can IIT Gandhinagar become that? They cannot stop comparing us with the old IITs. They cannot always say, this is what they should do because that is what happens in IIT X and IIT Y. And it is extremely challenging for us to tell them that we are not here in competition with the old IIT system. We are here in the competition with ourselves, and we are here to meet our aspirations. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being here today. We are extremely grateful to all of you for your support, for your encouragement, for your participation. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Jain, for sharing those inspiring words. As many of the speakers mentioned, there are numerous individuals who have contributed to the growth of IITGN and made it what it is. We would now like to honor a few representative individuals. It is worthwhile to mention that other than the people who will be honored today, there are several more such individuals who deserve the same level of recognition and have made invaluable contributions to the institute. I now request Professor Jain to call on these individuals, and I also request Mr. Pankaj Patel to honor them with a plaque of appreciation.
I would like to call a few people present here in the audience today to come to the dais and receive a small plaque from the chief guest. First of all, I'll call Urjit Yagnik, the first Dean of Academic and Student Affairs. He came from IIT Bombay, set up the systems, helped run the institute for 1 year before the director was appointed, and he remained for 6 months with me to be able to help me get the institute started. And I have very fondly said that, Urjit, you gave me a beautiful student culture. I don't think we would have had a better start if you had not been there. Urjit. Another person we are extremely grateful for, who helped us in early years and minded We are really talking about here when IIT Gandhinagar was nothing, nobody knew about us, we were really struggling, and these are the people who came forward and helped us. The second person I want to call to the stage is Anil Kothari. He was our superintending engineer, first superintending engineer, came on deputation for Bharat Sanchar Nigam Limited, worked extremely hard with us. We were pretty demanding customers for him, gave him a hard time. He, together with us, gave architects hard time to help us build a master plan, do the ground truthing, and did fantastic work. Anil, we are proud of you, and we are very grateful to you for your contributions to the institute. The next person I wish to invite to the stage is Miss Sonam Srivastav. Sonam was my BTech student at IIT Kanpur. In 2006, she graduated, went to work with a multinational company for 3 years. And in 2009, she came to me and she said, I'm tired of multinational company, I want to study. And I said, what do you want? She said, can I join you and stay here till I get my admission abroad? I said, but you will have to come with me to Ahmedabad. And she said, oh, really? Okay. And she came with me to Ahmedabad when I had nothing. She ran the director's office, she ran the faculty recruitment. For 1 full year, Sonam was our right-hand person for doing everything that we did. Sonam, we are extremely thankful to you for what you did for us in those years. Next I want to call on stage is Professor Dhiren Patel. Dhiren was a professor of NIT Surat at the time. He had once come to meet me at IIT Kanpur in some connection. And when I came to Ahmedabad, I said, wow, there was this professor at Surat who came once to meet me. And I said, let's locate his phone number, called him. And I said, Dhiren, I want you to come and meet me. I'm here. And he came to meet us. And I said, I want you to come and join here for a year. And he said, what will it mean? I said, nothing. You helped me in setting up the institute. And he said, why do you think I should do it? And I said, I see in you a future director of an institution. A 1-year experience at IIT Gandhinagar will make you good director in future. That is the only thing I can offer you. And Dhiren said, I'm on with you. He came, not only stayed for 1 year, he stayed 1.5 years with us full time. And after 1.5 years, he taught another full semester, coming every weekend from Surat. And today, I'm very proud to say, Dhiren is a director of a very famous 130-year-old college, VJTI in Bombay. And just before coming here, I asked Dhiren, I said, do you remember that statement? He said, yes. And I said, do you think that experience helped you? He said, yes, that is what helps me. Dhiren, I'm very grateful to you. You came forward and helped us, taught classes here when it was so critical. The next person I want to invite to the stage, you have heard him and you have heard about him, is Professor Dheeraj Sanghi. He has been a friend, philosopher, guide for me personally and for the institute generally. Every time we have an issue, we can reach out to him, we can ask his wise counsel and advice. And of course, as he rightly said, when I was coming here, he's the one who gave me the Guru Mantra, lenient rules but strict enforcement. Next person I wish to invite here is Mrs. Madhu Chadda. Yeah, I see her. She is an IITK alumna who got introduced to me when I was doing alumni relations at Kanpur IIT. Lives in Hyderabad, was very interested in counseling. In fact, at the time she was working in suicide prevention type of areas, although she's a mechanical engineering graduate of IIT Kanpur. And when I came to Gandhinagar, very early I said, Madhu, you have to help me create a counseling service. And at the time she was also into filmmaking, and she made for us the first promotional film for the institute. Madhu, we are very, very thankful to you for what you did in those early years when nobody was talking to us as favorably as perhaps many do today. Next person I wish to invite here is Dr. B. Appaji. He was heading the sports division at IIT Bombay, and very early we engaged with him, requested his help. He would come frequently, and we said, please help us set up a very modern system of sports system, help us recruit staff. And he remains again a friend of the institute, and we reach out to him when we need advice on how to create a robust system of sports and activities like that. Dr. Appaji. Next, I want to invite Mr. S.S. Bhatnagar. Bhatnagar Sahab was a retired technical officer from IIT Kanpur, managing electrical engineering laboratories in Kanpur IIT. And 2009, when I came, I requested Mr. Bhatnagar, he was retired, living in Ahmedabad, and I requested him, please help me set up my electrical engineering laboratories here. And wholeheartedly, he came forward again. And for next many years, until recently, worked here. Nobody knew actually that his appointment was part-time. There were times when at 9 o'clock I would make a phone call to him and he said, Bhatnagar Sahab, aap ghar par hain, aapko main takleef de raha hu, kuch baat karni hai. He said, nahi sahab, main abhi lab mein baitha hu. That is the kind of dedication that Bhatnagar Sahab gave. And I don't believe that many of my electrical engineering colleagues ever knew that he was actually officially on paper part-time employee. The last person that I wish to invite on the stage, and the most important person in fact, was Professor M.R. Patel. And Patel Sahab, I cannot ever thank you enough. Patel Sahab was the principal of the Vishwakarma Government Engineering College, where we were situated when we came to IIT, when we were set up. And in my first meeting, I developed a very good personal rapport with him. Professor Patel worked absolutely fantastically teamwork. We had never any differences. There were occasions where Patel Sahab would call my secretary Santosh Raut and say, this has to be done. And Santosh will say, sir, nahi ho payega. And Patel Sahab will say, you want me to talk to Professor Jain? And Santosh Raut will say, nahi ho jayega. Because Santosh knew that there is no way Professor Jain can say anything to Professor Patel and Patel will refuse. And Patel will say anything to Professor Jain and anything will refuse. I can only tell you one more instance. There was a senior IAS officer in Government of Gujarat one day, and she was visiting me. And she said, we in government quite often talk, how is it that VGC and IIT Gandhinagar work so closely? We are amazed that you guys have no stress between each other. We never hear any complaint. And you both go along so well. It is all because of you, Professor Patel. I don't think we would have been here without you. Thank you so much.
I cannot forget one instance when we met together in Gandhinagar and social media wants to talk to him. They बोले ये MOU हो रहा है तो ये तो कागज का MOU है, मेरा और M.R. पटेल का दिल का MOU है, जो दिल से बात होती है कागज से नहीं. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
I next request our chief guest, Mr. Pankaj Patel, to address the audience. Thank you.
Professor Jain, other faculty members, students, and the invited guest, thank you very much for inviting me to be with you this evening and be part of your concluding ceremony, or whatever you call it, of the 10 years of IIT Gandhinagar. I think, Professor Jain, you mentioned about introspection. And I would start from that introspection word. I think learning from mistake is one way to actually excel in education. And this introspection, what you talked about, I believe, should be kind of a continuous improvement process for the organization, whether it's company or a business or an academic institution. So this introspections and from the introspection, learning and improving is something which ultimately will take you towards the journey of excellence. Because I remember my early days when I wanted to get into education, I started a small school. And everybody said, what's the name? I said, company name is Zydus, so school be Zydus. And I said, no, it should be called Zydus School for Excellence. And he said, why you want to put that? I said, everybody should think about excellence every time they enter here. Similarly, you have chosen to talk about innovation. And I think it's very relevant from your perspective and from education perspective. Because there are three basic pillars on which the IITs are built. Of course, the faculty and the students are a very important part, and another important part is academics, which includes both teaching and research. And when you talk about research, innovation becomes a very important part of the whole thing. The question is, if that is what the institute wants to do it, the question comes into what do you mean by innovation, and what do you mean by innovation what our country needs? So I think whenever we talk about innovation, because it's very fashionable these days to talk about research, innovation. In fact, Innovate India might be another next slogan come as a part of our PM's desire to give one more slogan. What is going to be important for us is that are we going to do relevant innovation for our country? So one can talk about blockchain, one can talk about artificial intelligence, equally important. I'm not saying that we should not learn or we should not do it, but what is relevant for India is what we need to really think about. If we are going to add 20 million graduates or adults into the stream every year and find jobs from them, if we don't do the relevant innovation, nothing really going to help our country. The issue we have are many. You can talk about one of the biggest issue is water. We see that God is not kind to us, and because we still believe and depend on God, we have created this problem ourselves, but now we blame God for that. The question is, we have problems on plenty in our country, whether it's hygienic condition, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's requirement of water, providing housing, even food might become a scarcity the way we are growing. If all that has happened, India has to do relevant research. And I think IITs can contribute a lot in terms of creating innovation which is relevant to our nation. We might get global recognition, we might get a Nobel Prize because of doing a research, but I think what is going to be relevant, that is not going to help our people. And if we have an institute in India, the goal of all of us should be to create an institute which will actually help our people. And I think I'm happy to learn that a lot of these, from a social commitment point of view, IIT Gandhinagar is already doing it. One other thing which I have seen, and my experience tells me a little bit, of course, not long enough in academics, is that it's not important that student has learned the science properly, but the confidence which he builds himself, inside himself, is very important. And his sensitivity to the socio-economic need of our nation is very important. So one experiment which has worked well in one of the institutes where I work is that we send our student to select a project for a tribal area. And on that project, we want them to go and spend a week as a part of their annual curriculum. And we've seen a significant change in the confidence of the students. The way they come across, the way they think about is much different. So I think it's very important. This is not the idea you should follow blindly, but I'm saying that, and you are already doing some of these, like the workers who are here, particularly construction worker children and all that. You do a lot of things with that. What I'm trying to say is that the more we do this, we will build the next generation which is more sensitive to the requirement of our nation. Because unless we do it, we all will go to US or Europe to find greener posture there and not really contribute to our nation. And which is going to be very important if we have to generate jobs, if we have to see the vision of New India as our Prime Minister is talking about. The other thing which I have seen, and you might be doing it, but I just always seen that when we talk about introspections, it is not enough to basically sit in a room and talk about it, but maybe create a kind of a ecosystem for feedback. And I think academic audit becomes a very relevant thing there. Okay, to some extent, most of the people talk about, we say we do academic audit, but I think we need to really
graduate to move towards creating a kind of academic environment where students, faculty, and even the stakeholders who actually take your students all contribute towards giving us feedback on what we are doing, and basically learn from there and take it forward how we can even be better. So once again, congratulations for your 10-year successful journey. This 10-year has been remarkable for the institute because it's built from the scratch. You also have been fortunate to build from scratch and create your own ecosystems and processes and systems at here. But I think you must remember that all that has been happened because of one reason, and that is Gujarat. If you come to this land, you will realize that the land itself, when you put your foot down, it gives you a different vibration. And that allows you to think differently and create a new things. And I think, I being Gujarati, I'm proud to say that, and I would always say that, but I'm saying that I've heard this from many people, and I think this is very important because the whole environment here, the whole thing here, everybody is progressive, everybody wants to think future and progress, and I think that is what I think IIT Gandhinagar also is going to achieve. I want to wish IIT Gandhinagar even more success in next decade, and maybe an opportunity to again be here after 10 years to be with you and talk about how and where we have progressed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Patel, for sharing your thoughts. I next call upon Professor Amit Prashant to propose the vote of thanks, and also as the chair of the IITGN Decennial Steering Committee, share plans for the next 1 year.
Thank you, Harish. I think we all had fun, wonderful talks, impressions, and it was kind of moving as well, and some good suggestions thanks to some of the speeches. The Institute just completed 10 years of existence this month, and this is an opportunity, as you heard very many speakers, to talk about, to reflect on how the Institute has done in these initial years and what can be our course of action in years to come. The event today is inaugural of IITGN Decennial, an year-long exercise with several types of activities. And we will have discussions with various stakeholders on institutional culture and sustainability of ethos. Discipline and centers will have discussions about their progress so far and future course of action, including some deliberations through discipline advisory committees. That concept has been already established and we are working on it. After a couple of months, we shall have a Bada Khana. We had one impression of that 3 years back. We will have probably repeat of that. And with all the stakeholders and well-wishers, including construction workers, faculty, staff, the students, engineering divisions, government officials, and so on, many stakeholders, internal and external. Effort is underway to connect with several stakeholders that we had so far and engage with potential future partners as well. Several activities on the front of external communication, you can say cleaning up for your house for Diwali, that kind of thing. We will have our websites, the information, all that is straightened up. Of course, that exercise we should do besides working on some brochures, etc. And major art installations are already part of the work that is happening in the construction, you can say campus management, campus development plans. But incidentally, that will start from this year, so we'll take advantage of that and celebrate that as well. Team has been working on IITGN souvenir shop. Some of those pieces you may have seen outside, and with some prototypes we are ready, you can see, and several more to come in near future. There are some ideas we are exploring to start some documenting history of IITGN and archiving, including design of books depicting history and culture of the Institute, collection of anecdotes, some of those we had today, and pictures from alumni. That is already happening. Some students have already started that. We will certainly have more alumni engagement activities. This is one of them in a way, but many more in campus or outside. This opportunity of tenure also comes as an excuse to network, meet new people, and also attract philanthropic money to fund major initiatives that we want to take up. Among discipline and center level activities, we shall have a few major conferences, of course, and run some innovative student projects and working on some major challenges. We have had major emphasis on recognizing excellent services rendered by our colleagues in staff, and we shall explore more possibilities of their skill upgradation and create more ownership from grassroots level up. Our vibrant student body has planned to have several activities spread over the year, which may involve major seminars, talks, promotion of startups, startup culture, social environment awareness drives, and several other events on similar lines. Now, of course, this is one list. We will have evolution of this over the year through various deliberations, and we welcome or invite rather all of you to join us in this drive of 1 year to move into next stage of our institute. In the end, on behalf of the institute, I am thankful to Pankaj Bhai for agreeing to grace the occasion and sparing his time to share his insightful thoughts with us. And it was wonderful to have his suggestions. We'll certainly work on them. The event today has been possible with the vision of Sunil Bhai. He's sitting there. And Shri Sunil Parekh. We have been heavily dependent on his advice at various steps while preparing for this event. We are grateful to Sunil Bhai for being friend, philosopher, and guide to the institute, and for his valuable contribution in the advisory committee of IITGN Decennial. We are thankful to all the guests, all of you who have given their precious time and joined us today. And many have come from out of station, and had to spend a little bit more time. But we are really grateful to all of you who could make it today with us. But I know many well-wishers are away from here today. They could not make it somehow, but online some of them are watching, but I know for sure their wishes are with us always. It is love and affection of all our well-wishers and partners that excites us to do well. I must also thank all the faculty, staff, and students for joining us in this event and for making effort to make this institute what it is today. Thank you all, and back to Harish.
Thank you, Amit. I request all of you to rise for the national anthem.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल वंग विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंग तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
That formally closes the program. Thank you all for coming, and thanks to all the guests. As you are aware, dinner is arranged in the student dining hall. You are all welcome to join. Both ground floor and first floor, you can go wherever you feel comfortable. There's a special menu that Jason has arranged today. So hope you all enjoy dinner.